Test. First of all, before we start our event, I want to say hello to our speakers. Mrs. Nun Chumbao, can you hear me? And also Dr. Rajka Sandu.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Okay, good morning. And the last is Mr. Pachara.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Okay. We will start our event right now at 9 o'clock as the schedule. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our international webinar series held by Master of Law Program, Universitas Internasional Batam. Today, our topic is Eldery Care Challenge in the Asia regions, implementation on your country. This event also streamed on our YouTube channels. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nur Hadiati, and I will be serving as your moderator today. Elderly care services are important to provide and respond to the rapid growth of the elderly population in developing countries like our country, Indonesia. The speed of growth of the elderly population does not simultaneously occur, so the need for care service vary. So today it will be great opportunities to study about it with help of our distinguished speaker. Before we start the event, I would like to introduce our speaker for today. There will be Dr. Rajka Sandu, Dr. Chung Tubonu, Mr. Pachara Charcharon. Unfortunately, Dr. Khatijah Sulaiman cannot attend this event today because of her important event that she must attend. So this section will be divided into two parts. First, there will be presentation by our speaker, will be like 15 until 30 minutes. And for participants, you can ask the question by chat or raise your hand. If you raise your hand, we will give your time after the speaker and the speech. So for the first, I will give time to Dr. Nun Chung Bao from Vietnam.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you. Could you start? Could you share your presentation by yourself, or we'll help you?
Yeah, I can share my presentation by myself. Yeah, I can share by myself.
Okay, please, you can do it now. As for the participant, please mute your mic so it's not disturb the presentation time. Time is yours.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear, wait a minute, can you see my slide now? Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, okay. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it clearly.
Okay. Okay, good. So hello everyone. Firstly, let me introduce myself first. My name is Như Chung, and I'm come from University of Economic and Law, Vietnam National University, Ho Chi Minh City, and I'm really happy to stay here to share with you some of the problem related to elderly in Vietnam, and this is my privilege to join to the Asian half-year webinar series of University of International Batam, and the topic is elderly care challenge in Asian region. And coming to the webinar, I would like to bring you the topic named community-based healthcare elderly evidence from Vietnam. And before coming to the contents of the topic, I would like to show you some remarkable numbers related to elderly problem in Vietnam. You know that in Vietnam, according to the survey of the General Statistics Organization in 2019, it's nearly about 12% elderly people in Vietnam, and up to 2039, it's expected jump to about 15%, and near 2054 it can come to 20%. And you know that one of the prominent characteristics of the elderly in Vietnam is that nearly 70% have no incomes and 30% have no health insurance. So it's actually have lead to some prominent problem for the society. And you can see that at least 5 countries, including Vietnam, Thailand, Japan, Australia, and France. And according to the statistics, Vietnam is the one. Vietnam just take about 18 years for the population of people age 65 can up from 7% to 14%. And this is a really short time for us to solve the problems. And the contents of the presentation today including 4 parts. The first one, I would like to give you an overview of aging population in Vietnam. The second one is law and regulation related to elderly. And next one is community-based healthcare for the elderly in Vietnam. And the last one is some of the recommendations for the elderly care, especially in COVID-19 context. With the aging population in Vietnam compared to another countries, Vietnam is the fastest aging country, as I mentioned before. And because we just take a short year to jump to the countries which have a lot of elderly people, you can see that it can lead to a lot of constraints in the healthcare system or the society. And this is the thing that we have to look at and have to solve immediately. Next, with the demographic characteristic, according to the statistic, older person in Vietnam, they have married, but around 40% of older people, but almost all the people in Vietnam, they are married. But actually, just only 40% of them will be widow in the older age, and gender imbalance is more pronounced in older age group. For example, that every one man just on we have there 2.39 women. It means that this gender imbalance, and we have to look at it to solve the problems. And next, to the care and the support, according to the national surveillance of elderly in Vietnam, half of the elderly self-assess their health condition at quick and very quick, and more than nearly 40% of elderly doesn't have the health insurance card. And it led to the problem for us that we have to look at the health insurance. And the problem is that how we can serve to the elderly in Vietnam, and 100% of them have the health insurance card in the future. And one of the prominent problem here in the aging population in Vietnam is the poverty, because you know that according to the history reason, most of the older people in Vietnam, they have not enough education, and most of them live under the condition of the society. And you know that which a proportion of older people live in poor household rise, and the self-report perception of them fulfill that the elderly daily needs is not sufficient for them to meet the daily needs. And this have to the problem that we have to give them the health care or the income to make sure that they can survive in the society. And this is some of the number which is describe about the populations or the life expectancies in Vietnam. And the life expectancy in Vietnam is about 17 to 18 years old. So it means that we have to take care of them after they retire for about 20 up to 30 years. And because it takes a lot of time, so what happened to them is something we have to care about. And because the elderly number is rising more and more, so we also have to issue some law and regulation related to elderly to help to make sure that they have enough right, and they have to not right. And for example, with the population aging has been included as one of the prioritized issue in the new national strategy on population and reproductive health for 2011, 2020 or 2021 to 2030. The Vietnamese government has issued many national policies for the elderly, including the elderly law, the disability law, or reform law of health insurance, or some of the law and regulation. You can see the list here. And for example, with the law and regulation, the Article 59 of the Constitution 2030, they also stipulate that the state creates equal opportunities for the citizens to enjoy the social welfare, develop social security system, and adopt social assistance policy for the elderly people, disability, the poor, and other disadvantaged people. And according to the Article 59, we also issue the elderly law and health insurance law. Within the elderly law, the age of the elderly law stipulate that the rights and obligation of the older population, the responsibility of the family, state, and society in supporting, caring, and promoting the roles of the older people in Vietnam. And with the health insurance law, according to this law, people who are 80 years old and older are provided with healthcare insurance with free of charge and have complete coverage of medical service at the expense of social security system. So it means that Vietnamese people who are older than 80 years old, they have total full right to make sure that if they have some quick health condition, they can access to the healthcare system as soon as possible without any objection. And this is expected in the future. At least 50% of the commute and will meet the criteria for being environmentally friendly for the elderly. And about 70% of the elderly who are directly involved in the production and business activities to increase income and reduce poverty, and who need support and are instructed in the production and business support means of production, technologies transfer, product consumption, and 100% of elderly have the health insurance card. And you know that in Vietnam, one of the strategies which is really useful for the elderly, we call it the community-based healthcare for the elderly. And the reason why we run the strategies is related to our really mainly related to our traditional values, because you know that in Vietnam, the traditional value include the value of respect, and which refer to that the grandparents and parents, love for sibling, loyalty, and marital harmony. The ideas have long been emphasized in the development of the family value and the teaching of moral for children in the Vietnam. They have become the cultural norms. So it means that older people are usually live with their family with the really strong family backbone, and they play a vital role in developing and development and preservation of traditional value. And according to the community-based healthcare strategy, it is prioritized in medical examination treatment for the elderly, and the state promote people and groups to offer free medical examination treatment for the elderly. And beside that, we also establish a lot of geriatric department for or set aside a number of beds for senior patient treatment. And maybe it happened in the towns or in just in somewhere near the live of the elderly. And most of the elderly in Vietnam, they are take care of their spouse or their children or their daughter-in-law or even their uh, or their son-in-law. So meanwhile, the Vietnamese culture hiring the caretaker or medical personnel is not uncommon. So that's the reason why we raise the problem that we have to train for the society to know how to take care with the elderly, and it can give us some benefit for make sure that the health of the elderly is not in the not in unstable. So with the community-based healthcare, in-home care or service supplied by the service of volunteers, service employees or the volunteers, and in-home care or supported offered by the volunteer available. And you know that the volunteers who are take care of the elderly in Vietnam is usually trained before coming to be a volunteers, and the number of the volunteers is rising more and more until now, because the needs of people who have the professional taking care of the elderly is increased this day. Family members also be the best who are supported for the healthcare for the elderly, and construct a senior friendly environment is something really necessary for the elderly to feel that they are still the one who are really important in the society. And this is the home picture of the community-based strategy for the healthcare of elderly in Vietnam. And after describing about the strategy of Vietnam like this, I would like to give some recommendation for the elderly care in the COVID-19 context, because you know that in the COVID-19 context, elderly is someone who see that really easy to be damaged. And elderly, according to the 30-party Congress in Vietnam, it's also declared that the trend of rapid population aging is one of the most significant challenges in our countries, and we will have to face in the coming years. So that is necessary for us to repair the condition to adapt for the population aging. And based on the perspective and orientations of the document of 15 National Congress, we also prepare some recommendation and strategy to solve the problem. At the starting point, it's necessary to recognize that the elderly population group play a really important roles and make a significant contribution to the country's society, social, economic development, and they serve as a support for the younger generation rather than simply seeing them just as recipients of social benefits. And in the second text, the population aging issue should be included at the top priority in social economic development strategy. In terms of the economic growth and social stability, the aging of population presents both opportunities and challenges. And you know that in Vietnam, with the people, especially with the lecturer or with the doctor who are also hold the PhD or who are also be the professional or associate professional, we can extend our time for working. For example, with in Vietnam, 60 years old is a retirement time. But however, if you hold a PhD degree or if you are the professor or associate professor, you can extend to 5 or 10 years later. It means that you can retire at the age of 70 years old. And it means that it makes the elderly feel that they have still benefits for the society. And this is some of the law that we want to ensure the elderly feel that they have a really significant contribution for the society. And first, it should take advantage of the opportunity to transform the challenge to the to the some of the benefits. For example, that aging of the population is becoming a common trend not only in Vietnam but also around the world. So it is essential for the process of social economic development that both the opportunity in aging should be considered. For example, that the problem is so we can allow people to live in harmony with the age of the opportunity with the age of the population. For example, that we not really want to take care about that how age of them, just take care that what how can they contribute to the society, and maybe in the future we may extend the retirement for the population to be longer for about 65 up to 70. And in the fourth point, we should ensure the elderly have the source of income. For example, we have to give them the chance to find the money, even that they are older than 60 or 65 years old, they still can contribute for the society by making them making their own money. And the fifth point is that strengthen the healthcare system is something really important, because healthcare system is something is the backbone of the strategy. We have to build a strong healthcare system to make sure that all of our elderly people have somewhere to take care of their health, and as well as socialize and mobilize the varieties of resources to address the demands of aging population. And especially in the COVID-19 pandemic, so contact vaccination is still the most effective way to prevent and control, while also helping patients lessen their symptom and risk of moral mortalities. And you know that in Vietnam we have in our, for example, in our vaccination strategy, we also take care of all the elderly. We have to make sure that the elderly is the one who can access to vaccination first before any other part of the population. And I think this is one of the really prominent strategy of Vietnam to what we're looking for, the most safety condition for our elderly. And this is the end of my presentation today. And I'm really happy to stay in here to share with you some of the practice and experience in Vietnam to taking care of the elderly. And thank you for your attention, and wish all of you health and safe during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your explanation, Ma'am Nguyen Trung Bao from Vietnam. She is a lecturer from Faculty of International Economic Relations, University of Economic and Law, Vietnam National University. There's interesting point about what happened in Vietnam in elderly care or elderly service care. So before we move to our next participant, if there are next speaker, sorry, if there are any participant want to ask something, feel free to fill it in our chat or raise your hand. So before we move, there's a several question that we collect beforehand about your presentation about what happened in Vietnam. First, the participant want to know about how to make or to build senior-friendly environment. There is also in the PowerPoint. Maybe it's the first.
Yeah. So I will answer each question, or waiting for the whole question and answer at the last.
Okay, so there are also in the chat room from Memory Nasyahriani Shamula. Is there a community center for senior citizens in Vietnam like the one in Japan, which they can meet their friends? Okay, and sorry, and for the last is how to ensure elderly have a source income. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for your questions, and I will answer the first question first. With the first question, that how to create a friendly environment for the elderly in Vietnam. Actually, you know that to ensure the friendly environment for the elderly in Vietnam is not that easy, because most of the elderly people in Vietnam, they are living in the rural area, and in the rural area we don't have not enough conditions for the elderly, and that's the reason why we have to build. For example, that the infrastructure, we have to build the infrastructure. We have to build some the way for the elderly people who can easily to access to the hospital or to the some healthcare center for them to assess their health. Or sometimes, not beside the infrastructure, we also have the plan to build a lot of park around the living of the elderly for them to practice their health. And we also have the plan to as the second question, community center for the elderly, because we understand that if we build a community center for the elderly, it's the place for the elderly to join together, and they have to have the time to share their story. But actually, you know that with in Vietnam, as I mentioned before, community based is something really important in the elderly care Vietnam. And we live together with the neighbors, and usually with the elderly in Vietnam, they access to their neighborhood, and they talk with the other elderly in their neighbor. And it's not really that the community center. It's just mean that they still remain their social bond together, and they have the really strong social bond with the other neighbor in the neighborhood at the same age of them, and it can increase their emotional feelings that they have the friends who are living together and who can help. Because you know that we have to understand, we have to first we not first when discuss about the environment of the elderly in Vietnam, we have to understand that the society in Vietnam are really something are really different compared to the Japan. For example, that in Vietnam, most of the elderly live in the rural area, but actually their son or their daughter, they choose to live in metropolitan cities. For example, that when you have the children, you are living in a rural area, but actually when your children growing up, they find a job and they have to move to Ho Chi Minh City, they have to move to Hanoi to live and to work to find the money. And then when the children find the money, they will give it back to their parents living in the rural area. So actually many of the rural area of Vietnam, we have a lot of elderly living together, and they create their own communities and to take care of themselves. And many of them, sometimes when they up to the age of about 80 years old or 70 years old, they change their minds, and maybe they have to live, they move from rural area to some bigger city like Ho Chi Minh City, Da Nang or Hanoi to live with their children. And that is the place the children in their family take care of the parents as well. And because we are usually live in the family like this, we don't have enough the professional experience to understand how to take care of the elderly. So that's the reason why it's really need for us to have the professional training for the to understand how to take care of the elderly in the proper way. And that is the strategies in the future for Vietnam, to make sure that everyone who live in the society, who live in the community, also have enough knowledge and to take care of the elderly. And the community center for the senior citizen in Vietnam, we also have, and but it is not common in our country, because most of the elderly, they believe that they have the luck when they live with their children, and if they come to the community center living alone, or their children not take care of them, it is something really not good for their life, and they not really expect about that. But you know that some of international hospital in Vietnam, they also provide the service that for example, if I am going to work and maybe my parents, living alone in the homes during the whole day long is really dangerous because they are too old. So that's the reason why the international hospital in Vietnam, they also provide a service that I can give. I can bring my parents go to the hospital to play together with another elderly, and after that about 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening when I coming back to work, I can bring them back home. And sometimes it's a balance for us to pursue our career, also taking care of our parents. And I think this is a really interesting solution for us. Yeah. And the third question, can you repeat it?
Okay.
Yeah.
The third question is about how to ensure elderly have a source of income. How to make action.
How to, thank you for your questions. Actually, you know that in Vietnam, a lot of the elderly, they live in we have some we call it the handicraft work shipment. And because most of them living in the rural area, and they live with the handicraft working, or they live in the farm. So we have some job for them to do and to ensure the income. But actually in the future, the government of the Vietnamese government, they not really expect that the elderly find the money by themselves. But we hope that in the future we can ensure that all of the elderly, especially elderly older than 80 years old, they can live with the income from the government. For example, that at this moment, with the elderly older than 80 years old, maybe in in 1 month, they also have the income from the government to make sure that they sufficient for their daily needs. And this is something really good. And I think that in the future, when Vietnam develop more and more, the income from the government to the elderly can increase, and it can help them to have the better condition to live in their own age. Yeah, and especially with the professional job, we also extend our age. So that's the reason why even we are get older, we still have to work. Yeah, as I mentioned before, for example, we hold a PhD degrees, or if you are a professional, associate professional, you still working up to 70 years old, and you still have chance to give lecture or research and everything to find the money. And you know that as you are working as lecturer, or working as a doctor, or even a lawyer in Vietnam, the more you get older, I think that the more money you can get. So I think that if you pursue the educational degree in Vietnam, maybe in the future when you get older, you can ensure that the income is really good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for the answer. Before we end the session with Mrs. Non Chung Bao, for our participant, could you turn your camera on so we can take a picture together? There will be 2 slides for all the participants. Okay. First, I will take from the first slide. One, two, three. Okay. We move to the next slide. Okay, thank you so much. We move to the next speaker, Dr. Raj Kumar Sandhu from University of Jammu, India. Time is yours, Dr. Raj.
Thank you for the opportunity. Let me share my slide. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay,
You can proceed. Thank you.
Go to slide share. Good morning, everyone. Thanks to the Batam University for providing this opportunity, and I express my thanks to the organizing committee for allowing me to share my thoughts uh, with the with the participants from various countries. So my name is Dr. Raj, and this is a joint paper with Professor Sanjay Gupta, and we both work in Department of Law, University of Jammu, and it is in state of Jammu and Kashmir, India, and it is the northernmost part of India. So I'll be talking about elderly care and COVID, and what is the Indian response, what are the various international agreements, treaties, conventions which we can use for tackling with this situation, because this elderly care is already discussed, debated in international forums also. So roadmap of this presentation is that I'll be talking about the age and infirm parents and why they need care and protection, what are the various reasons for destitution, and what are the various expectations of parents. And then there is the Indian law regarding care and maintenance of parents and a person with old age, uh, 2007. Then there is what are the various issues which require attention with reference to elderly in the COVID pandemic, and what are the various suggestions. So before going into the topic, we need to understand that this at present there are more than 1 billion person who have aged above 60 years and old, and out of them 70% is in developing countries, and the situation is more critical in developing country as compared to developed countries. In case of developed countries, they have social security measures, there's a social security benefits are available, whereas in case of developing countries, such protection is not available, and these parents, they mainly rely on the family for care and protection. So these aged parents and senior citizens are they have a pressure of economic, educational, emotional, and psychological resources for the society, and they have vast experience regarding traditional knowledge, cultural values. So they are the resource center, they have the experience which we can use for the betterment of society. In ancient times, there is these elderly people are taken care by the family due to some religious, social, and other purposes. Now, as far as we are at the ancient times, the requirements were less and they were easily met, and society, that family is sufficient for the protection of elderly people. They were not requiring much care and protection. But in modern times, the people are becoming self-oriented, they focus more on career, and for that they need to move from one place to another place. Migration is common, and this industrialization has created a new problem. We are shifting from a joint family system to nucleus family system, where it's very difficult when both the childs are working, and children, grandchildren are going into school, and these elderly people, they face neglect, and this is creating a problem for the society. Now, moreover, this aging is a natural process, and every one of us will be going through this process, will be facing it, and someone in our family is already facing it. So if we want to go into the international concern, what about the efforts which were taken by the international community? The first time the issue of security of older person and senior citizens came before the United Nations in UDHR in 1948, And before that, this was first debated in United Nations in 1948. This issue was taken up by the initiative of Argentina, and then again in 1969, this issue was taken on the initiative of Malta. In 1971, UN General Assembly asked the Secretary General to prepare a comprehensive report on the elderly and to suggest guidelines for national and international action. It was given in 1971. In 1978, UN General Assembly decided to hold a world conference on aging. According to that, this world conference was held on from July 26th to August 6th in 1982, where international plan for aging was adopted. In the year 1990, UN General Assembly designated October 1, which is just coming after after 1 week, as the International Day for Elderly, and later it was renamed as International Day for Older Person. UN General Assembly on December 16, 1991, by resolution adopted 18 set of principles for elderly population. UN General Assembly on August 15 to 16, October 1992, convened a special session for marking the 10th anniversary of the adoption of 1982 Action Plan on Aging. General Assembly on November 11, 1992 adopted a proclamation on aging, by which it decided to observe the year 1999 as the International Year for Older Person. Second World Assembly on Aging was held in the Madrid in April 2002, and it adopted international action plan and a political declaration which stressed on the critical importance of incorporating aging issues into the international development plan. So, meaning thereby that in international arena, a lot of efforts are taken by the international community regarding the issue of aging. Now coming to that why they need protection, because of their reward. We need to reward for their sacrifice. So by due to their age, they have contributed in the development of their family and the society and the nation. So it is the time that when they need care and protection, they will be protected by the society or by the family members. Then it's sort of a recompense for their parenting. So a lot of efforts, money, resource, skill is involved in parenting a child. So when these parents, they get old, it's the responsibility of the child to take care of about his parents. Then there are economic reasons. The population which has worked for the country, they have contributed into the economic growth of a country. So when they need a protection, country should to help them. Then there are religious considerations, that in every religion, in India, you will find all major religions of the world, and even their subgroups are also there. So in all religion, there is a special provisions, or there is a special recommendation for the taking care of elderly population. Now there are certain reasons for destitution, that why this problem is aggravating and why we need to address this issue. Now there are issues of family structure. From joint family, we are moving toward a nucleus family where less members are there and less care and protection is available. Then moral and ethical degradation. People are becoming more self-centered. They are not concerned about about their parents. They are more materialistic in nature. So it is creating problem. Then there is a industrialization. Due to industrialization, the population is shifting from traditional places to the industrial cities, and it has created a problem that youth, they have to leave their parents back home, and they need to move to different cities for job. So it creates a problem of isolation for the parents. Then individual mobility, for education, for medical, for different reasons, individual need to move from one place to other place. Then family disorganization, that already we have discussed, that we are moving from a nuclear family to joint family, from joint family to nucleus family, and it is creating problem for the society. Then the youth is taking wrong people as a role model, where the whole focus is on self growth and self benefit, whereas we need to have we need to bring the culture of helping our elder people in the society. Then self-interest approach, that more people are concerned about their own well-being rather than the well-being of their parents and old family members. Now, what are the expectations? The old and people expect that they should be care and protection. There should be emotional and psychological support from the family. There is a physical help is required when you are suffering from some problem, and or you have some health issues and you are not able to maintain yourself. Then some amount of maintenance is also required for their day-to-day expenses or for their medical expenses. Now, in order to address these issues, Government of India, they enacted this law in the year 2007. Name of the law is Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act 2007. Under this act, there was an obligation on the children and grandchildren to maintain their parents. Now, this obligation is also lies on the relatives of that parents, as soon as they have means to maintain and relative is of major, it has attained the age of majority. Then senior citizen has a right to file a suit and claim maintenance from their children if they are not able to maintain their self. So monetary amount is to be provided by the children to their family member, to the parents. And for the payment of this maintenance amount, tribunals are created and action can be initiated. Then there is a provision for senior citizen homes for people who don't have resources. So there is Government of India has created old age homes where there's people will be accommodated if they don't have any resources. Then there is a mechanism for enforcement of right. And moreover, under the personal law, under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, parents can claim compensation. Same under Muslim personal law, compensation can be claimed. Same way, there is a criminal procedure code in which there is a section 125 of CRPC, and under that act, aged parents can claim compensation. Now, coming to the COVID, now we have seen that this devastation created by this pandemic, and we have seen that in India, from the month of April and May in 2021, we face a devastating second wave, and in which, as per government data, we have lost more than 4 lakh people, almost 500,000 population to COVID. But it is said that real numbers are very high, because these numbers are underreported, and these numbers are the only numbers the people who lost their life in government hospitals. So the people who lost their life in their home, they are not calculated. So even then, the 80% of deaths are with 65 plus population, and 85% of senior people, they suffered the most of deaths. Then these people, they affected disproportionately because of lack of care, and they were having health issues already. Now, in case of an old population, the immune system is weak, and since this virus is a novel virus, they were not having any antibodies. And as and when this virus hit them, there are chances that they may not be able to, their immune system may not be able to cope up with the virus, and there are possibilities that they may lose their life also. Now, what are the various issues which faced by the elderly people in India? Once this COVID hit India, all hospitals were declared COVID hospitals, and the aged people who were suffering from problems, they were not able to get their medicine, they were not able to get the patient care, and many people who were suffering from life-threatening diseases, apart from other diseases from COVID, they were having issues of access of healthcare and medicines. So they faced a lot of problems. Moreover, in case of COVID, there were government provisions relating to quarantine and compulsorily isolation. So it created a problem for elderly people for care and support. They were facing problem. The prisoners in Indian jails, those who have crossed a certain age number, they were also facing problems. Thereafter, that these people who have suffered due to COVID or due to some other reasons, they were neglected by their children and their relatives. So neglect and abuse were also there. Many emergency healthcare services were not provided due to the prevalence of COVID. All hospitals were converted for COVID, and they were not attended properly by the system. Then there were issues relating to social distancing. Because of social distancing, family gatherings are not there. People are not able to meet with their friends and relatives and the people they know, and it created emotional distancing that further aggravated their problem of neglect, which was faced by the elderly population. Now, how to address this issue, how to take care of it? So we need to have law relating to emotional and physical needs also. Monetary needs are covered by this Senior Citizens Maintenance Act, but not their emotional and physical needs. So there should be provision for their emotional and physical needs. Then Government of India should be made here. Whatever property is there with the aged parent, and if their children are not maintaining, then government should become an heir and own this property, use this property for the welfare of elderly people. Sometimes this next is that sometimes this maintenance amount is very unrealistic, and it is not as per the requirements or for the life sustaining. So maintenance amount must be increased. Then in case the children who have left the India and they're settled abroad, there must be some provisions for their parents who are in India and they need special care and protection. So moreover, if that parent is a childless or he's indigent, he's not having means, for them old age home should be prepared. And then we need to have more recreational halls where they can come and they can have discussion, debate, and some other facilities for their emotional and physical needs. Then we need to have a psychological care clinic, neurotic centers for broken family, for conciliation, for training them about the needs of these elderly people. Then in our schooling, in our teaching system, we should have a provision for sensitive training of the old age parents, so that children, younger generation, should be made aware about their well-being. That's all for the presentation. Thanks for the question clearing.
Okay.
I'll be happy to take.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Rajkumar, from the presentation about the elderly care and COVID and Indian perspective. Before I read the question that we collected beforehand, are there participants in this live room want to ask question? If you want to ask question, you could left by chat or also raise your hand. Okay, until we wait, I will read the question that we collected beforehand. First, how to encourage elder to take a medical or emotional and physical needs as they need it? How to encourage elderly to take medical examination, maybe like emotional or physical needs. And the second, how to avoid complication if elderly left behind by their children. And the third is there's a Senior or Citizen Act 2007. Are they need to revision or make a change about regulation? That's the question that we collected beforehand. Maybe you could answer first, Dr. Raj.
I'm getting this background sound. It's close it. Some speaker is speaking.
Wait.
One is speaking and this sound is now it is fine.
Okay.
So first question is regarding their emotional and psychological needs.
Yes.
At present, there was no provision We have old age homes, but they are more providing shelter and medical care. But this aspect is ignored by our law, and this problem came up when we faced these lockdowns during COVID. So even that normal people, they were having this problem of connecting with people. When we are not meeting with people, you will be facing a lot of emotional and psychological issues. There were quarantines, but now Government of India is taking steps at present. This mobile through cell phones, through telecommunication, this psychological and emotional needs are taken care. There are a lot of counselors available. If you need their help, you can call them, you can interact with them. Moreover, Government of India has created a lot of resources which is available on YouTube and the government ministry websites, where we can go and access, and we can look into it. And moreover, once this lockdown is over and vaccination started in India in January 2021, so first we vaccinated our elderly people. At present, 65% of our population, those who are eligible for vaccination, they have got at least one dose. And in case of elderly people, that vaccination is up to 90%. So we can say that we have protected our elderly population from various side effects which will be happening due to COVID. There is a possibility of reinfection also, but Government of India prioritize the benefit, the vaccination of elderly people, so their physical, emotional, and other needs are taken care. And Government of India is in a process of making more help in doing. I'll take third question first regarding this Maintenance of Senior Citizens and Aged Parent Act of 2007. This act was enacted when COVID was not there, so it more focused on monetary aspects of compensation. Whereas in COVID times, we realized that even if there is a money is available, we require psychological support. So these provisions are not there. So we have recommended to the Government of India for suitable amendments in the law, so that proper care should be taken. Can you repeat the second question? I could not listen it.
Okay, the second question is about how to avoid complication if elderly left behind by their children.
Okay, so when these are abandoned, so we recommended that their property should not go to their children. This property should go to Government of India, and Government of India will take proper care and protection of these people. So if children are not ready to take the burden of their parents, they must not get their property. So property should go to the government. So, and government out of that property will be able to make proper care for them and for others, other children also. So this can be done. Moreover, in case of that, if that children is a government servant, then some portion of his salary can be given to the parent if he's not willing to take care about them. So provisions are there, mechanism is available if they are abandoned by their children. Anything else?
Okay, I think that's it. So before we end the session with Dr. Rajkumar, for all the participants, could you turn on your camera so we can take a picture together? Okay, I take the first slide first. And to the next slide. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Rajkumar, for the presentation, for the sharing knowledge with us. So we move to the last speaker.
Thank you, pleasure is mine. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, we move to last speaker, Mr. Pachara there. Mr. Pachara Chaisharon is from Thailand.
Okay. Can you open the PowerPoint presentation?
Wait, we will open the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, time is yours.
Thank you. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pachara Chajalan. I am from Thailand. I was alumni of Dhammasiswa program at University International Batam. So today I am here to share with you about the system of care for the elderly in Thailand. So next slide, yeah. For now, I would introducing a little bit about Thailand. Thailand is facing a dramatic challenge of how to ensure the good health and quality of life for its rapidly increasing number of elderly citizens. As you know, now Thailand is becoming aging society. So we need to make sure that like quality of life of the elderly people, of the elderly, and we have to make sure like to support and also to service them. Next slide, please. Okay. Next, the changing political and socio-economic environment provide a great opportunity to make the health and social services more responsive to the needs of the elderly now and in the future. Next slide, please. So for this slide, there are 74 million people are 60 years old or over. As you can see, in Indonesia has a big number of the older people because Indonesia is the biggest country in ASEAN, right? And then if we look at Thai, we have around 13 million people, but there are 69 million people in Thailand. Next slide, please. So for this slide, we will see about speed of population aging. As you can see now, Thailand since 2000, Thailand is becoming aging society, and in next year 2022, Thailand will be full of aging society. Next slide, please. So for this, we will find like why Thailand is becoming aging society because of low fertility and also high life expectancy. As you can see, Thailand is a red point. The total fertility rate is about 1.5, and also for the life expectancy about 77 years. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, for this, in 2016, the average size of the Thailand household was only 3 persons. So as you can see in the slide, 1980 was 5.2, and then 1990 was 4.4, and then 2000 was 3.8, and then 2010 was 3.1. As you can see now, in the order, we live like a big family, but for now we try to live like single family, like small family. Next slide, please. Okay, then in this slide, we will talk about the higher index of aging and also lowest aging index of aging. As you can see, Lamphun, Lampang, and Phrae provinces have the highest level of aging index in the country because those provinces are in northern of Thailand, and then in northern is quite like rural area. So the children are like the teenager there try to find a job and also gain the money by going to the center of the Bangkok, like in Bangkok, in Chonburi, or in another province in center. And then they leave the older people behind them, like they didn't take care much about them. And then if you look at the first table in the top table, right, 10 provinces with the lowest index of aging. The first one is Narathiwat, the second one is in Yatla, and the third one is Pattani. For those provinces are in southern of Thailand. And as you know, in southern of Thailand, we have there are a lot of Muslim community, and Muslim like to be like together. They like to be together, like what is Jama'ah. So they live together and help each other. Next slide, please. Okay, for this one is the infographic from Department of Older Persons. So they make us and share us about aging society, everyone's issue. So they need everyone to help to solve this problem. Okay, next slide, please. So for master plan and driving the elderly care, this one is about the master plan of Department of Older Person. For S1, preparing the population for quality aging. S2, promoting and developing the potential of elderly. S3, social protection system of the elderly. S4, management for the development of work and the elderly with the National Institute. S5, compilation, development, and dissemination of knowledge on the elderly, and follow up the evaluate and performance vision. Elderly people have a good quality of life, being a driving force. Next slide, please. Next, it's about mission. Its mission promoting development of potential welfare management, protection of the rights of the elderly, including the development social welfare work pattern to cover and respond the social and law that they use the law that the Elderly Act 2003. Next slide, please. So for this one, we will see like the cooperation between Department of older people, older persons, and also the older person, they make like a village health volunteer. So every village in Thailand, we also have like a health volunteer to taking care of the older people and to check and also to support, to serve with them. And then the cooperation with Department of Public Health, yeah, to make a measure and also policy about the health and well-being for the older people. And then for the last department, the cooperation with Department of Physical Education to like to make a activity or exercise for the older people, such as every Sunday in my village, we have park, and then every Sunday we will contribute like a yoga or just aerobic dance for the older people to join and to exercise. Next slide, please. Okay, for this is a situation of COVID-19 update. It was on Sunday, 18 September. The new case of us around the new case was 13,000, and also new death were 117. So most of new death were the older people who has like a cognitive disease, like heart disease. So for this, we have to like to focus and to control that, because the older people who has disease that if they got COVID, they will easily to die. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, can you open the video? I would let you see the video, like how Thailand treat.
Wait a moment, we will play
Yes,
the video.
It's so much easier to fight an epidemic like COVID-19 when you have a strong underlying health system. Thailand has spent 40 years committing itself to and investing in its public health infrastructure. This is really where the rubber hits the road in a pandemic.
Thailand has experienced several outbreaks of very large scale, starting from SARS back in 2003. Those taught us lessons, make us prepare for the big pandemic. We started our implementation of WHO IHR capacity in 2006-2007, and also improve our public health emergency management. In early March, we start to see a rapid increasing of local transmission. The number of new cases gradually reduced through April and May.
And this is something that WHO emphasizes to countries again and again. The need to be able to identify cases, isolate and treat them, and quarantine and trace contacts is so important.
คิดก็ตอนแรกก็ไม่ได้คิดอะไรเท่าไหร่แต่พอรู้ว่ามันรุนแรงก็เริ่มตกใจนะคะเริ่มตกใจกันมากเลยนะคะเราทำอย่างไรที่จะช่วยชุมชนเรานะคะโดยเริ่มต้นจากในบ้านเราก่อน
The village health volunteers are ordinary people who devoted themselves to take care of their friends or family within their village. The strength of the village health volunteers has contributed significantly for the Thai government to keep things under control.
จะมีเชื้อโรคไหมอะไรอย่างนี้ครับผมกักตัวเสร็จแล้วผมก็โทรปรึกษาตลอดปรึกษาหมอตลอดครับผมถ้าว่าอาการอย่างนั้นอย่างนี้ปวดเมื่อยกล้ามตัว
Hello Hello
แล้วก็อยู่ไปอยู่มาก็เขาก็ไปเยี่ยมบ้านตามเข้าไปทุกวันก็สนใจในด้านนี้ก็เพราะว่าเราก็จะได้มีความรู้แล้วก็มีสุขภาพที่ดีแล้วก็ชาวเมียนมาด้วยกันจะได้มีสุขภาพที่ดีคิดอย่างนี้ก็เลยมาเป็นอสต.ค่ะ
The village health volunteers and the migrant health volunteers, they are really the eyes and ears of the health system in the community. I think it's really this trust between the community and the public health system. It's doctors, it's nurses, it's allied health professionals, and it's village volunteers that makes this whole system run so effectively.
I think one of the very good reasons that we can manage COVID-19 very well was that if you look at Thai cultures, whenever we have crisis, the Thai will unite.
Okay, yeah, that's all for my presentation, and thank you for your attention.
Okay. Okay, Pachara, thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's all for your presentation, right?
Yes, that's all.
Okay. We move to the question and answer section. First, before I read the question that we collected beforehand,
yep.
There is a question from Miss Arina Syahriani Syarullah at the chat. Is the Department of Eldery Person under the central government administration or under each region in Thailand? Is the Eldery Act 2003 sufficient to govern the existing condition of elderly?
No, something. Right. Hello. Okay. I will answer the question. For the first question from Burinaya, is Department of Elderly Person under the center government's administration or under each region is under the center of government's administration. And also is the Elderly Act 2003 sufficient to govern the existing condition of elderly people in today's content? Yeah, it is still today contents.
Okay, thank you so much, Bachara, for the answer of Ms. Rina's question. And so we move to the question that we collected beforehand. First, how to promote the promotion potential of elderly?
How to promote, right?
Yeah,
okay. The first thing that we promote, like we try to talk with the older people and then like try to share how to taking care of themselves, and also we try to give the help volunteer and to taking care of the older people.
Okay, the second question is how to become a volunteer. Are
well,
there special recruitment?
Yep. Okay. If you want to become a volunteer, first you have to like register to the older people, and then they will like correct by test the exam. Yeah.
Okay, the last question is it's also happened in Vietnam and India.
Yeah.
Elderly live in the rural or hinterland, maybe we can check there. How about the access to their needs in Thailand?
Well, for the access to their needs, I told you, in every village we have like volunteer, right? So if they want or their needs, we have to like go to them and try to support them anything they want. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for Ms. Prachara to answer the question. First, before we end the session, Ms. Rina Syahriani Sarwah want to ask a live question to Dr. Rajkumar. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Ms. Rina, you could ask the question.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Nur. I'm very sorry, Professor Kumar, because I have to ask you via mic rather than type it because it's quite long questions. So I would like to know about the religious system in India, in particular the Hindu systems, in relation to the taking care of the elderly people. Is it like the daughter or the son who are more responsible or taking care of the elderly from both sides, or only their own sides? That's my first question, and probably there will be follow-up questions. I have two questions for you.
Okay, regarding the religious aspect, that all major religions of the world are in India, be it Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, and then there are certain Indian religions like Sikhism, Jainism, a lot of religions. All religions are there in India, and in all religion there is an obligation on the children to maintain their parent. Moreover, I'll be specifically talking about Hinduism. So there is a principle under Hinduism where you need to fulfill your all responsibilities and the obligations of your parents. So then only they will get moksha, or they will get the salvation. So it's the obligation on the children to maintain their parents, and even if there is any debt left by their parents, they need to repay it. Unless they are not going to repay it, their parents in the next life will not be getting any, they'll be still burdened by that debt. So under religion, there is a specific obligation, and this obligation under religion is more on the son rather on the daughter. So there is a provision which we have discussed, section 127 of Code of Criminal Procedure 1917(3), which provides provision for the maintenance of children, wife, and aged parent. So in that section, the word used is his parents. So there is a case in India where a daughter who is a single child, and she is working as a doctor, and she's making a lot of money, but she's not maintaining her parents. And her parents filed a suit. Matter went to Supreme Court of India, and Supreme Court, she contended that the obligation is on the son, because Act says that his parent, not her parents. But Supreme Court of India said that the words which are not defined under criminal procedure, it is defined under penal laws. And in the penal laws, it says that his include her also. So after that ruling, it is clear that it is the equal obligation of daughter to maintain their parents. So if there is only single daughter, or the daughter is earning, and she'll be asked to provide monthly payments to the parents for maintenance. But only problem is that this law is only with reference to monetary compensation. The physical, emotional, psychological needs are not covered. Sometimes more than money, you need company of your family members, and there is no provision or there is no mechanism under which we can compel a child to live with his parents. So there are issues, but at least monetary aspects is covered. But if suppose parents have adequate means of maintenance, then then there is no obligation on child to give them money. So even if they don't need monetary help, they need care, support, and psychological and other needs also, which are not provided by the Act. I hope I am able to answer your question.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's actually, I'm very interested in that particular case. So if you can just supply Ibu Nur with that case, and I would like to research on that. It's very interesting that the wording is here, because I focus on gender issues a lot of my research, and I found out that a lot of law use the word of his instead of his and her, or her, so sometimes that's the ambiguity in interpreting the law. But you make really a good point in this. Okay, thank you, Professor Kumar. Okay, my next question is, well, in international law, it's basically a lot of discussion that you also raised before and address a lot of issues regarding the taking care of elderly. I believe that India also focus in this, but unfortunately, if I may say, I'm very sorry, I'm quite concerned about the hierarchy of the the status of the caste in India. Is it like for all castes, including the Dalit, that the government pay attention to the elderly, or you still make that as a strata? Or I'm sorry, I'm not knowledgeable in the Hindus strata, so I'm very happy if you can really give enlighten me in this particular case concerning the Dalit, whether also the Dalit have all the access similar to other strata, the caste strata in India. Thank you so much, Professor.
Can you repeat it again? I was looking for your case. I have shared the link in the chat box, so I forgot.
All right. Okay. Great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Link is shared in the chat box. You can access to that case.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, I got it. Okay.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yes, it's actually, I'm concerned about the caste, because I read that, I also watched from the videos about the Dalit people. So I'm concerned whether the attention of the Indian government regarding to the elderly cares also given to special attention to the Dalit in, I'm not really sure about how is really the caste and how is really the government handle all the strata, social strata in India. Is it non-discriminatory, or I don't know. Probably you can enlighten me in this regard. Thank you.
I'm not sure I'm able to understand your question, but because there is an accent problem, but I got it somewhere that Delhi, there is some the protection is available, and whether that protection is also available in other parts of India or not. This is what I got it from it. So in India, we have 3-tier system of governance. We have a union government which is located in Delhi, and then we have state governments in different provinces. In India, we have 28 provinces, and we have 9 union territories. So they have their own set of governance system. This is called a federal system. And then we have local self-governments at village level. We have panchayats, and in cities we have municipalities and municipal corporations. So there is a three-tier system of governance, and all three organs are contributing towards the objective of elderly care. So we have centralized old age home which are funded by union government. Then we have state government initiatives for old age people, and then we have local level initiatives which are done by municipal authorities, panchayats, with the help of various NGOs. So a lot of system is available, but this problem is more prevalent in urban centers, in metro cities, as compared to small towns and villages. In villages, because of social pressure or because of close proximity of people, this problem is not there. But in metros, already people are facing problem because due to their work culture, they have less time to interact with their neighbors, their relatives. So more problem is there in metro and big cities, and less problem in villages and in small cities. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Oh yes, but sorry, one more minute, please. Is it like all the funding? Is it like from the central government, or each region has its own funding for this particular program for the elderly? Is it like the budgeting? I'm concerning about the budgeting. How is really the distribution of budget?
Yes, in union government we have social welfare department which take care of about these elder homes, and then in state governments they have their own budgets, and out of their budget they also allocate. And in a lot of NGOs, a lot of social activists, they are also into this social service, and they are also helping them. A lot of religious centers, they also provide certain services to the elderly people. Like annually we have this cataract operations, eye care, eye surgeries for elderly, and this is done pro bono basis by many religious and social organizations. Then a lot of other facilities like medication, and in India even private doctors, they have clinics in one day in a week. Not all, but many doctors, they do it. They don't charge any consultation fee from the aged person. So it is our culture also, and a lot of people at different levels, they are doing it in the railways, in travel. That 70% this fare is charged by the government. 30% discount is given to the people who are above the age of 60. In banks, there are special lines. There is no queue. You can directly approach to the counter if you are an elder age person. In any social service, any service, if you want to avail, some special measures are taken for the elderly people. So even in government offices, you will find there are ramps are available if you are not able to climb stairs. So social infrastructure is also commuter friendly, elderly friendly. So a lot of steps are taken, and there are a lot of more steps needs to be taken. But since we are a developing country and we have constraint on resources, everything is not done. It's not done by the government. So a lot of private individuals, social organization, NGOs, they also play a very important role.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay. There's an interesting discussion between Ms. Rina, our participant, and also our speaker, Dr. Raj Kumar. I think that's all. I checked the participant. There is no raised hand, and also in the chat, there is no question left behind. Thank you so much to our distinguished speaker. Finally, we come to the last session of this main seminar about elderly carers challenge in the Asia region. Thank you to all the audience for your participation. As for a certificate, will be sent by email, also on your personal account for participant at the certifikasi.ugb.aceh.id if you registration by there, and also in the chat we left the attendance links that you could fill up with your names, email, so we could send the certificate as certificate. And for the speaker, our distinguished speaker, we also send it by email. as a token for appreciation. We will meet again at 22 November 2021 to talk about access to public service for disability in Asia with other speakers. So hopefully the information that we have shared today and discussed today will be useful for all of us. Thank you so much for attention. I think that's all for our session today to our webinar, first one, talking about elderly care challenge in the Asia region as a part of the international webinar series held by Master of Law program, Kaleidoskop of Asia regions. Okay, maybe before we close the event, are there speaker want to state a closing statement? Before that, I give a time to Ms. Chu, Ma'am Chu, or Dr. Raj, or Mr. Pachara, if you want to deliver a closing statement or closing speech.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you, and I want to thank the organizers and the University of Batam for providing this opportunity. It was a pleasure experience, a pleasure interacting with the fellow participants, and I definitely learned a lot from the interaction. Thank you.
Okay, from Ma'am Chubal.
Yeah, I'm just want to say thank you too, because this is my really privilege to stay in here and hearing a lot of sharing from Thailand, from Indonesia, and also from Indonesia. And this is really a really good experience for me to more understand about the elderly care all around the world. Yeah, so thank you for the webinar and thank you for the chance to be here today.
Okay, the last one from Mr. Pachara.
Yeah, okay. I would say thank you for having me in webinar, and also thank you you guys to be attention for my presentation. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, that's all. I think thank you for joining us. See you on another events. Goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone.